Cecil B DeMille has a very, very long list of films he made, and he started making them in the silent era, which is kind of interesting to think about. He made it all the way. His last film was in 1959, The Ten Commandments. You may have heard of it. This one's a little bit earlier, but it is like a later film of his. This is not in any way a detriment. I think he got better as he went. But he started to gross in like Bible-themed films. And this one is Samson and Delilah, a story from the Bible, made into a movie in 1949. Still in the 4:3 format, which is actually, it's good for having it on TV, but I think the moment he went for widescreen, the pictures, the Cecil B DeMille stuff got better. It's very boxy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Tries to cram everything in.
Yeah, it's a little bit that, and this particular film got an award for costumes, which I think it deserved, but Samson and Delilah's story is, of course, a biblical story, and it's anywhere before Christ, as much as maybe 1500 before Christ. I'm not sure when, in what is now Israel, and the costumes are too opulent, simply put. There's no way they had that. So pretty, but wrong. Award, sure, but not historically in any way significant. And I think that's one of the complaints I have with this movie, is that it's from a biblical story, but then they take the story, realize that it's not much to work with. And there was a book out by Vladimir Jabotinsky, who wrote a novel and also a treatment. I'm not sure what a treatment is, but I think probably more of a character study of what a Samson and Delilah might be if you actually took the bare bones story out of the Bible and tried to make it into something real. So he gave them a plot line and Delilah reason and also some extra characters, and all those are in this movie. Of course, that means there's now a role for Angela Lansbury. You should always ask Lansbury to play somebody. So she's playing the sister of Delilah, who's doesn't have a sister in the Bible, of course. But in the Bible story, Delilah is straight up the bad guy, and Samson is, of course, the good guy. And she seduces him into giving up his secret, and then she uses that to destroy him. Which is, I'm sure in the Bible, a wonderful story as a teaching moment, but as an actual story to do as a film, not so much. So they changed the Delilah in the story to somebody who had more of a reason to do what she did, and I don't think it works. Hedy Lamarr, who plays Delilah, has problems getting it portrayed properly, and I think that is, I simply don't think this works as a character. I mean, she's pretty, and that's not that. She has all the hallmarks of what it should be. But if you want to make her a good, have her an aspect of a good person, I don't think Delilah is your gal for that. She's supposed to be evil, and Hedy Lamarr is either it's A, not playing her as such, and B, probably didn't get the instruction to play her as such, so she's not playing her as evil. Because I think they're trying to be more nuanced like that. So the Samson is not wholly good. He is human and he makes mistakes, but he has a sweet nature. So, which is perfectly fine for Victor Mature to play. That's exactly what he is good at. The big lunk who is lovable, but the world is sometimes weird to him. That works absolutely wonderful. Then George Sanders plays the Prince of Gaza, I believe. Whole thing is set in Gaza because that's suddenly very topical, biblical story topical. There you go. As the Saran of Gaza, I think he's some sort of prince. He does a lot of heavy lifting, especially in the scenes with Delilah. He is the prince bad guy, and she is then his minion, kind of. Every time he has lines, he knows how to deliver them, even though they're pretty shitty lines. He knows. I mean, Victor Mature can deliver a line sincerely. This guy can deliver any line any which way you like, and Hedy Lamarr doesn't get enough in her lines to do her job, which is a shame. The rest of the cast is pretty good, but they're not the main people. The only person, let's see if I can find her. I think that's Faye Holden and Hazelyn Punnett, his mother. She's pretty good, but they have 2 scenes together. Most of the others are a couple of scenes to their name. The only thing that's interesting is one Russ Tamblyn as a very, very young kid hanging around Samson by the name of Saul. Yes, he will be King Saul at some point. But later, when little Russ grows up a little bit, because very small, it's very cute. And this movie is actually pretty solid. It's a Cecil B DeMille movie. It better be solid. I mean, he knows how to make a movie, and most of the problems that I have with it are from making the story decision of making her sort of a not bad guy. Basically, it's not that she's a good guy. She's
misunderstood.
Yeah, I suppose misunderstood, but I don't even get that far. It's too little of one thing and not enough of the other, if you know what I mean. And I don't know if you could have fixed this, because the Samson and Delilah story is very bare bones, and if you do anything else with it, then you veer off the Bible, which is also... you'd better have a good reason to do that. So, this film is a solid film. It is an actual film. There's not a moment where I say, okay, this is a piece of celluloid. Sometimes a film is a bunch of celluloid things put together, and people say it's a film, and it's got a beginning because you can stick it in a DVD player. That's not always a film. This is a film. It has all the plot points. It has a beginning, a middle, and end. It has a setup and a conclusion, and all those things. But it's not the best Cecil B DeMille film I've ever seen. And I think it's because of the choice of the subject and then how they handled it. Can it be done better? I don't think so. Nobody's ever tried, and with good reason. And I think after this, Cecil B DeMille veered away from the straight up Bible versions, because he also did the King of Kings, the original King of Kings silent movie in the 1920s, yeah, and he did like Cleopatra, which is historical, and a bunch of other things adjacent to it, but actual Bible stuff. The 10 Commandments is the last one he did after this, pretty much. And that one, that's yes, with bells on, of course. It's that one's famous. So, I think he may have learned from this one that you need better treatment, better novel, better thinking about what to add to the story. Also, a better story to start with, because the 10 Commandments start with the Moses story, and there's quite a lot more to the Moses story in the Bible. This one's like maybe a chapter long, the Samson and Delilah story, and there's not much to it. It's mostly political, what's going on at the same time. Which in Ten Commandments, same thing, except there's more about him himself, where he came from, and what happened to him. So there's more to it, and therefore you can do a film with story. And that's the problem, that this one, it had to actually add in a storyline that is not related with the sister. And then he falls in love with the sister, and then she's jealous, and then she messes up the marriage between him and her. Fuck Too Mature is worth watching for it. I mean, Hedy Lamarr is good to look at, and Angela Lansbury is also wonderful to look at, and George Sanders is whenever he's on screen, when the others are not on screen, he's on screen, so that's entertainment value, I suppose. I mean, if it falls into your lap, I should definitely watch this movie. For historical, because this is a Bible story, which is in the Bible is a collection of stories that has been passed on and on and on in some form or another, and then at some point about for the Old Testament, about 500 BCE, it was written down. And so anything from before that, but when stuff happened and how it correlates, and is history, once it gets to be that old, is hard to see what is history and what is fiction, or not fiction, but tall tales. I mean, yes, Samson was a big guy, and he gets bigger in the telling of each story, of course. And how big was Samson? Historically, there's no way to know. He could have been a really big guy. He could have been a little bit bigger than anybody else, and then everybody exaggerated. Or he could have been a really big guy. Who knows? And that's a problem when you have a story that old, is how does it relate to actual history? You know? So, as an historical movie, it's from a Bible. So, like the costumes. It's pretty, but not right. Probably not, definitely not what they had then. Probably not anything close. But it's pretty. It tells a story that is... I think the story actually gets a little bit muddled with the extra plots, which is the original story should be about Samson, who is devout to God, and then somebody tries to seduce him, gets a secret out of his devotion out of him, and stuff like that. It's about devotion. And I think that gets lost a little bit in this movie. There's a lot of other stuff going on. Yeah. Worth seeing. But that is my opinion. And I'm sticking to it.